Okay, good evening. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the Finance Committee meeting. Today is Thursday, July 12, 2018, and it's approximately 7:29, and I call this meeting to order. Number two, review and discussion of a proposal for the student athletic insurance for a one-year period. Ms. Rendon?
Yes, sir, we're bringing this back as our student insurance. We've had reviewed the tabulations of the proposals, and we have here Ms. Christy Gonzalez to answer any questions. We are recommending Texas Insurance Service Center
Ms.
to
Gonzalez,
provide
do
the
you
services.
have the updated handouts? Like, on the attachments here in Board Book, we have the bids from the May meeting. Do you have the sheet that has the updated, the best and final?
Yes.
Thank you,
Just
ma'am.
one.
That one. I think it's actually the wrong one.
Let's go ahead and we'll move on to agenda item number three. We'll come back to number two when we have the proper information. We're good? There you go. Okay. Item number three, review and discussion of memorandum of understanding between San Benito CISD and the Cameron County Juvenile Justice Department for the 2018-2019 school year. Dr. Carmen?
Yes, sir. So this is just a renewal of the two probation officers that serve at the high school, Ninth Grade Academy, and the alternative campuses. It's a match for a minimum of up to $40,000 per year.
Any questions? Agenda item? Okay. Let's move on to agenda item number four, review and discussion of the purchase of 86 Dell desktop computers for the San Benito High School CTE business class. Dr. Carmen? Or Ms. Rendon?
Yeah, this is we're proposing to purchase them using CT funds, some of the 86 desktop computers for the business classes at the high school.
Any questions? It's, just for clarification, Ms. Rendon, it is going to be CTE funds, correct?
Yes, but this is part of our state CTE funds.
Awesome. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Agenda item. Let's move on to agenda item number five, review and discussion of the resolution approving the independent sources of instruction relating to the investment responsibilities. Ms. Rendon?
Mr. Lopez, this is an annual investment. It's a resolution, and whereas it dictates, it's part of our policy, and it just indicates that the investment, it names the investment officers, which are, it's named on the resolution, myself and the two accountants. Also, it indicates who we can receive the training from. So it's an annual investment responsibility dictated, and it's an annual, y'all need to review it on an annual basis.
Mr. Yeah, can you remind me again of the investment firm currently?
We don't, the one that we had a presentation for?
Right.
We have not entered into a contract. This is just the name. We are planning to, and we have another line item there that,
Okay.
and we have Mr. Orta here.
Okay,
There's no
perfect.
questions.
Agenda item? Agenda item? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to agenda item number six, review and discussion of resolution approving annual review of the investment policy and investment strategies. Mr. Don?
This is exactly what it is. It's an annual review that is required. It's our legal policy, and it just dictates what we can do, where we can invest in. So it's an annual review that we have, and we need to have a resolution that the board has been made aware of it and that they reviewed it.
Any questions? Agenda item? Let me just finish. Let's move on to agenda item number seven, discussion on adding additional investment broker. Ms. Rendon?
Okay, in this item, and we have Mr. Steve Orta here to answer any questions. We are, as we had previously brought to the fore, that we wanted to contract with an outside financial advisor to increase our investment opportunities. That requires to add these are the individuals or the companies that we wish to participate if need be to. So we want to add them on, that if they're providing the interest rates available and so forth, we can participate in the investment. If you have any questions, Steve's here Mr. Orta's here to answer them. They will be vetted to make sure that they are in line with the investment strategies and that they all are registered and they are bona fide brokers.
Any questions?
I know they're listed 1 through 9, but is there any relativism to those numbers?
Yeah, what we want to do is create an environment upon contracting with TCG Advisors, who I oversee. What we want to do is create a situation where we're sourcing product at our recommendation. Now, these are our dealer networks that we bring to the table where we vetted them. So in a case we want to buy a CD, we want these folks competing for your business. We're going to recommend the appropriate company to pick with and work with Ms. Rendon to make sure that the quality of that particular security is within PFIA and, of course, our recommendation of fiduciary responsibility to the district. So, and that's why we want to bring a network so that these folks actually compete. The more folks we compete, better rate we're going to get and earn you more money.
Got it, thanks.
So, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Agenda item? Okay, we're moving back to agenda item number 2, review and discussion of proposal of the student athletic insurance for a 1-year period. Ms. Rendon?
Yes, did we have the handout? This is for the student insurance, and this is commencable this is to start August 1st, correct?
Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, this bid went out for student insurance. We went out back in May 2018. And then in July here, or at the end of June, we went out for best and final proposals. We did email all 5 vendors that originally submitted back in May, and they all did submit a best and final bid. So we had the 5. We put it on this spreadsheet that you have in front of you. I believe, let me look at it. Out of the 5, 2 of them did provide the district with what we had required as in regard to coverage. So out of the 5, we went down to 2. Those 2 companies are Texas Insurance Service Center and Gilbert Ortiz. So you'll see the yeses on top. So then from those 2, we had to look at the 2 plans that they had provided, and the best value that we feel that the district would use would be the Texas Insurance Texas Star Plan. I'm sorry, I'm super cold. It's so cold in here, I'm sorry. We're cold in the back.
It's all in your mind.
So the Texas Insurance Service Center did provide a bid of $188,664. That is what we feel the plan is for, as long as the students and the parents. This is a secondary coverage. The first primary is their health insurance, their first primary. This would be a secondary coverage. As long as they stay within the network, everything will be fully covered.
I got a quick question for you. So I see a huge disparity here, a huge decrease actually from their last proposal to Texas Insurance.
Yes.
To now. What's the biggest reason why they decreased so much?
So the plan that they had before was the Texas Value Plan, which is the one right next to it. And the one we're recommending is the Texas STAR Plan. The difference between the 2 plans and the amount difference is the benefits that they offer. So for example, hospital room.
Right.
Let's say the Texas Value Plan covers up to $300. The Texas Star Plan covers $250. So just the amount that they are offered up to, but that is when they don't go within the network. So if you go within the network, which are, I believe there's a listing of doctors that they did provide that are within the network for the Rio Grande Valley and the state of Texas. If you go with the network, everything is fully paid.
Wow.
It's when you're outside the network, then you have to go with the different price plans.
Okay.
So I know that this insurance company has been with the district for a while. What's the, how often do they go out of network as far as when the students needing healthcare?
That I would not know.
Okay.
I did talk to him today, and he's the one that told me that there are other districts that have the same plan. So, and that they haven't had any issues with it. I don't know if you need to know who they are. But he said the main issue that might happen is if they go, and it's with both plans. The Texas Valley Plan and the Texas Star Plan is if they go to the emergency room and then they send them to a doctor that's not within the network. Because it's an emergency, it's just right away.
Okay.
So that's the only thing that he said might be an issue.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it. Any questions?
Any questions?
Agenda item?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is insurance for.
Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 8,
Are those-
review and discussion of voluntary products effective October 1st, 2018.
Okay.
Dr. Carmen, Mr. President, members of the board, my name is Joe Salazar with Salazar Insurance Group, SIG. Thank you for appointing us as a voluntary insurance broker. When we were appointed, we wanted to see what you had and just to see if we could tweak it a little bit. And we recommend several of the companies that you have, one of them being Colonial, of course. I happen to be the public sector manager for Colonial, and the one that was recommended was Colonial, but out of the Houston area. We're recommending you keep Colonial with our office, obviously. Our office is in Harlingen, Rio Grande City, Brownsville. Dion Chavez is our sales manager, and Israel is going to be our, I had promised Dr. Carmen and Dr. Phillips that we would have a person here 3 times a week, and Israel's going to be the one that's going to be here representing our office and your office administration to your employees. So he will be here. Dion went out for bid for other products, and he's going to recommend some of them. We stepped into a little bit, I know we're not the broker for the health insurance, but we went ahead and leveraged a little bit on the dental and the vision with your current UHC health insurance, because we do business with UHC throughout the valley, and so we kind of tweaked a little bit. But Dion will be explaining it to you. He'll be quick, because that's the way he is, right? He's not that analytical.
Mr. Board President, Superintendent, Dr. Carmen, and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to present before you. Thank you for your service to the community, and thank you for your service to the students of San Benito.
Was that quick?
That was quick. He's chiding me a little bit because he knows I have a tendency to split hairs. But that's just my nature.
Nice. What do we do with all the junk? File 13?
There you go. That's what I'm gonna do.
Oh, that's Mr. Witt's name. That's Mr. Witt's name. Yeah, so who's his brother? Thank you. Okay. Thank you, and thank you. United Healthcare. Ooh, dental. Thank you. Thank you. To United Healthcare?
Okay, to be concise, as Mr. Salazar has asked me to be, there is a lot of information that we had to compile here. So what I'm doing here is basically breaking this down. So first of all, what I'd like to just highlight is your current benefits with the district. Our focus is going to be primarily on the core benefits of the dental and the vision. And with that being said, the plan that you have right now with the dental is the carrier Blue Cross Blue Shield. There is currently a renewal that is about to take place in the month of October 1st. Now, generally speaking, when it comes to renewals, by and large, you always expect a rate increase. Blue Cross has said that there will be a 5% decrease on the pricing. So in short, what we did is we went ahead and went to various carriers, and we've got quite a few listed here. I wouldn't say that I've ranked them, but I will say that I created a spectrum wherein the benefits based on what came back matching the current plan and price point, we would say that United Healthcare pays out the best benefits and provides the deepest savings, and overall will actually package this with your health plan. And in the end, they will bundle it so that everyone who has a dental plan or a vision plan, there will be a credit of $1 going back to the district. So the savings per month will be $1,200, annually $14,400, and it'll be over a 2-year period, so your total savings will be $28,800 back to the district. So this is a win-win, because actually the employees of the district save, and then there is a benefit, if you will, to the district. Now that money, the district can use it however they choose. So without going into all the other carriers, of course, I've got them listed here as MetLife, Unum, Sun Life, Superior. You can see on the one page where I highlighted the proposal quotes, again, the variations, the differences, but in terms of the ranking, United Healthcare will provide the best benefits. The plans, again, mirror the Blue Cross Blue Shield. Without getting into too much detail, the low plan you have is called a MAC plan. That's a maximum allowable charge. Staying in network gives you the deeper discounts. The high plan that you have is actually what you call a UCR plan. It's a usual and customary. That allows you, if you will, to go outside the network, and you're paid up to the 80th percentile. It even allows you to go to Mexico. So with that being said, I would like to ask if there's any questions with regard to the dental plan, because we do recommend United Healthcare. At this point, if there are no questions, I'm going to segue into the vision plan. Standard is the one who has the vision plan. Now, with that being said, there is a current rate guarantee that you're in. So the rates will hold over with standard until October of 2019. Now, we did get some rates, or some quotes, I should say, that would give the district a discount, or rather a savings to the employee. In this case, with United Healthcare, you're looking at a 7% savings to the employee. But United Healthcare will go ahead and lock in that rate for a period of 3 years. So again, it would seem to make sense to make that transition or migration, but at the same time, we just want to be as clear as we can on what the benefits mirror the current plan. Any questions on the vision plan? Because again, we do recommend United Healthcare for the vision plan. And again, remember, you do get that $1 credit back on the vision. So again, per employee who's already signed up with the medical plan here at San Benito, CISD. $28,800 to be exact.
Excuse me, Mr. Chavez, just a quick clarifying question here. So with what you're proposing here, we have United Health for our health. We would obtain United Health for our dental and possibly a 7% savings if we went with United Health for our vision. Would that allow us any savings in administrative fees by putting all of those under that one umbrella?
That's correct. And the savings on the dental is 15% under current, 7% on the dental. But to answer your question, yes, there would be a bundling of that administrative fees, savings-wise.
So in other words, when you get your administration fees every month, they're gonna deduct $2 per employee per month on your administrative fees back to the district, and you use it the way you guys want, whether you have wellness fairs or whatever.
That should be $1,200 per
Get
month.
money back, it's always good.
Not unheard of, but something that, you know, you have to think a little bit outside the box, and that's what we did. So we were able to come up with that, and that's maybe something that should have been done earlier, but that being said, it's something you can take advantage of now.
Yes, thank you.
The only other thing I would like to just touch on, and then this should pretty much conclude what we needed to discuss. The current plan that you have with the disability, that particular plan is going to probably need to stay where it's at. We went ahead and shopped that for you, and there were 3 carriers specifically that we were trying to get quotes from, namely Hartford, Sun Life, and Unum. In the business, we say things are running hot. That means that there's a lot of claims happening, and that is the case with the disability. With that being said, it would be best to hold over till next year, and then what we can do is we might be able to restructure that plan, so that way we can use cost containment. But again, with regard to the disability, due to the experience and the utilization, it would be best just to keep it as is.
Okay.
On a little bit of a separate note, with regard to the group life, that is also a standard. Again, that too will hold over till next year as far as your rate guarantee.
Okay.
However, for consideration, we did place with you Mutual of Omaha's quote for the group life, and what they are able to do is provide a 10% savings. That's roughly about $5,000 per year with a rate guarantee of 3 years. So that would be roughly about $15,000 savings to the employees over the 3-year period. And that we are recommending.
But that's life.
That's on the group life, yes.
Okay, group life, okay. Okay,
Any questions?
good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Well,
Chavez.
thanks for your
Thank
work.
you.
Good job, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very
Thank you.
much. It's something that I was wanted to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item?
Yes.
Not agenda, sorry. Okay. Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 9, update on the 21st Century Grant, Cycle 10, please. Ms. Jack Garcia.
Assistant?
Not to worry, that's okay.
Good evening, Dr. Carmen, Mr. President, members of the board. Thank you. I'm going to be passing you out a hard copy. of what will be presented in a PowerPoint.
Thank you, dear.
Members of the board, under the circumstances, I come with, fairly, if you don't know by now, some, news as far as the update on the Cycle 10. Dr. Carmen was gracious enough to send me the reviewer information. We did not receive cycle 10. And he forwarded me an email with the attachment of the 5 reviewers, because that basically the process that you get reviewed by 5 individuals. Before I get into this, I just want to explain the history a little bit of the reviewers, just in about a minute, 30 seconds. In the past, prior to this year, when reviewers were reviewing grants, how they do it, if I live in the Dallas area, I will be reviewing the Rio Grande Valley and probably the Coastal Bend area. If I live in the Houston area, I may review Dallas area. So it was done correctly by regions as far as the reviewers. However, it could have been a member of an organization that was applying for 21st Century that could be a reviewer. Many in the state found that biased and wrong. However, the positive thing about that was the fact that these people were knowledgeable about after-school programs. So they were fully aware of what they were looking for. The feds, the state got involved. They recommended some changes, and the changes came out with this cycle 10, that to be a reviewer of these 21st Century grants, you could not be part of an organization that was applying for the cycle 10s. That's what the requirements were. So the concern that I had going into the cycle 10, that we were going to get a lot of reviewers that were not knowledgeable of 21st Century. On top of that, they do not pay to be a reviewer. You volunteer. So the problem is you may not get enough reviewers. And then at that point, they will ask reviewers to review additional grants beyond what the original requirement was, which they did. There was a deadline. An email came out afterwards and said, guess what? We still have more to review. And they sent out additional, which they extended the deadline. I'm here today. I also, on behalf of Dr. Laura Cortez, who was our grant writer, as you all members of the board know, she has been successful gathering 21st Century funding in the past. I have spoken to her about this, and of course, we've worked together in several grants. We've never seen a reviewing process as flawed as this one, okay? As you go into the first page, and you might want to, for anybody in the audience, the first page. We were reviewed by 5 reviewers, and those are the scores. Out of 110 possible points, 110 being the best, these were our scores. Now, mind you, members of the board, there was an additional 15 priority points that were not graded by the reviewers, that is reviewed at the state level once they're turned in. Those were priority points. Those were, remember, members of the board, those that were on the board, you signed a letter of support for sustainability. That was worth 5 points. Being a partner with another organization, that was additional 5 points. Where we did not get the 5 points was having focus or priority schools. And Dr. Carmen and I had that discussion prior when I was aware of it. Our partners didn't have priority focus schools. So I knew I was 5 points down. However, after reviewing the reviewers' scores, that's not what didn't fund us. It was the reviewers themselves that didn't fund us. And I will show you the flaws, and I've highlighted within these reviewing. I've had some time, and I've underlined and so forth. Reviewer number 1. This reviewer had nothing but positive comments on the whole entire review. If you look through it, I highlighted it. Matter of fact, at the very end, it stated in capital letters, outstanding. Now, where I'm just don't understand is, under the question of, does the grantee have an evaluation? They circled 0 twice. So we lost 20 points. And in my eyes, it's whether this individual didn't understand how to log in the score, like on SurveyMonkey or one of those type of apps, or they clearly just dropped the ball and did not score us. So right off the bat, we lost 20 points on something that wasn't even scored. Had I seen any negative comments on Reviewer 1, I would say, well, then we have a problem. But we clearly had an evaluation component in the grant. Reviewer number 2, just my observations, gave us a perfect score, nothing but positive comments, the best score you can get. I'll leave it at that. Reviewer number 3, this is one that I question had knowledge. They had a question. They gave us a low score on evaluation plan. There's clearly was an evaluation plan. They also said an independent evaluation was not budgeted. It was clearly in the budget. And gave us a 75, a 78, I should say, 0.5. Here's the other problem. As you all well know, Samuel CSD has been successful in obtaining funding through 21st Century for the last 17, 19 years. Reviewer number 4 that scored us a 77.15 was biased. At the end of the reviewer process notes, it says, quote, "The grant has been awarded several times before and would like to have seen some of the results from previous evaluation. Some of the research was outdated. There is no, within the guidelines and the application, there was no requirement to me to put an evaluation of the past grants from the past histories. For that person to put that statement down clearly tells me they're biased. And reviewer number 5, this reviewer, I would have to say, was a great reviewer, even though they didn't put a perfect score. But one thing, they were knowledgeable. And because of that, I'm going to read a quote that they put on there. This is a person that understands. Evaluation aligns with the Texas ACE logic model. The Texas ACE logic model is the blueprint for after-school program in the state of Texas. They were familiar with it. And looks like it will provide a control and experimental group, which is admirable. This person knew what they were looking for. So as I analyze this, I'm a little concerned because it's not the quality of the grant, it's rolling the dice and hoping that you get a reviewer that understands what they're looking for. And this was clearly, in my opinion, what occurred. Just some more facts. The state of Texas receives $106 million per year from the feds. They originally had stated they were going to award $45 million. They were going to award 30 grantees. That's not what they did. They funded 51 grantees at a cost of $64 million. So it's a difference of $19 million increase. My question to the state is, where did they get that $19 million? My concern is that they might have tapped into future funding for a potential Cycle 11. That's my concern for the future. I'm happy for my colleagues around the valley, for some of our students down here in the valley, because at least they funded in our region, because they have had a tendency of not funding past the Nueces River. For some reason, we don't exist down here sometimes. And we have fought for this. And my recommendation, the only way, I really legitimately think that Reviewer 1 could be appealed because it seems though there was something that went wrong. They didn't do something right. I also think that, I have recommendations. First of all, I mean, the state senator and state representatives need to know about the process of this reviewing, that it's a flawed system. It needs to be taken serious. Because for us to make that investment into these grants and to not take it seriously or have somebody that is not knowledgeable is unacceptable to me and to our staff. So, I
Okay.
would, any questions
Okay,
related to this?
I have a question, well, actually, I have a comment regarding the process, and I guess question number one, is there an appeal process that we know of?
That I know of, no. However, there is a division within TA that we could get that answer.
Okay.
I will say this, Board Member, Mr. Mendez, some of my colleagues from the Houston area that I've communicated, we're going for open records to get every single reviewer, their scores, so that we can compare, those that were selected. We obviously can match up their numbers as far as the reviewers.
I'm sorry. Okay, secondly, is that, it's sad that we didn't get funded, unfortunately, and of course, this is a true eye-opener on what's to come up ahead. I think that it is important for us as a community to challenge the process with TEA and give them a notification or a statement from our district indicating that, we respect their decision. However, if the system is flawed, we'd like for them to review it and consider that a comprehensive review on it occurs. That way, future districts are not burdened by the same situation that we're burdened today. So I don't know if it's something that we would want to take to the board and submit as a board, but, I'd like to see that as from my perspective.
Well, I think additionally, and you kind of mentioned, have we been in communication with all stakeholders as far as those who touch the TEA, not only TEA, but the legislature, even federally? So I'm thinking our Senator Lucio, Representative Lucio, even our Congressman, Mr. Cortez at the State Board of Education. Like, I think we should leverage as many people as possible because, I mean, it's obvious Dr. Carmen told me about the discrepancy in that one reviewer, and now seeing it, it's kind of like, it just doesn't make any sense. So I guess that's my question. Have we contacted the offices of our local stakeholders to make sure that we have people on our side, that it's not only just us as a board not crying, but, frustrated with the process that seems so flawed?
Mr. Rodriguez, I haven't yet because I felt that it was important for me to discuss this with you all first.
Okay.
And to get some direction also as well. I feel bad for our partners too. Those communities that desperately, like San Pelita, they have no resources out there that can compete. I am passionate about it. I am disappointed, and it's, I'm not going to hide that. But it's going to take for us to let the state legislators know, because back in 2013, we all rallied together, the whole Valley community, and lo and behold, they found money, and they did a Cycle 8 Part B, which that's what we were awarded. But my concern is that they funded all this additional money beyond what they originally said they were going to do.
Okay.
And I personally think it was to satisfy certain parts of the state of Texas. We as a big district, we're considered big as far as the total budget. We compete with the Dallas ISDs, the Houston ISDs, the Harris counties. They were all funded, by the way. So they did do a good job of hitting areas throughout the different regions of the state. So, another thing in a line to that, Mr. Vargas, is, the commitment and the accountability of saying that you're going to have a sustainability program. It needs to be there. There needs to be some type of system there, because if they're telling us that we have to do it and it's a priority point, well, hold them accountable. That's what I say.
Okay.
So what, if you give me now that I think, speaking for the board that, and also Dr. Carmen, the direction is inviting as many stakeholders to the conversation and showing them the data points and making sure that, we're leveraging their voices and their offices and their power to make sure that somebody's listening. So I think that's an appropriate next step. But my question would be, as far as timeline, what do you think?
Well, they're really aggressively pushing out these 51 awardees, and I listed them in the very back for y'all. The ones that are eligible for 3 years, and then the new ones that are going to be eligible up to 5 years. They're giving a little bit more discretion to the state coordinator for that final year if they meet all the requirements. I think that we can appeal, but in my professional opinion, it's already done. As far as this cycle is concerned, especially with the amount of funding, Mr. Vargas, that they funded out. I'm just mind blown by the $19 million extra dollars that they found.
I think there's a conversation though to push back on because you obviously know the process more than we do, but to push back on the idea that this is done, I don't think it's done because we have proof point that there was obvious discrepancies in that. Because from a board's perspective, if we don't get this grant, then there are unfortunate decisions that we have to make as a board and as an administration that we never thought we would make because of just the success we've had with grant cycles previously, and that includes personnel. That includes raising taxes. That includes a slew of things that we just didn't think, So I just want to make sure that we're doing as much as we can to avoid that, and we're exhausting as many tools and people and accessories as possible to avoid that conversation.
I think in the past, Senator Lucio's office has been very helpful. They were spearheaded a lot, and Congressman Vela's office. I know that Lou Sanchez, his right-hand assistant, was very helpful in the process back in 2013, and I think we should entertain that idea again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Garcia, Jack, as far as, from our perspective and as far as how successful our program has been, and it's very obvious that every single dollar that we invested, to our kids and our wonderful community, our kids have proven it. We got a great, probably one of the biggest after-school programs around, and I think that speaks volumes, volumes for the type of investment that that the school district and yourself are willing to do for our kids and the benefit of the kids. And, it's kind of sad to sit here and see, how these decisions are made and how it's all rolled out. But I think us as a organization and Greyhound Nation, we have to, pick up our collar and roll up our sleeves and get back to work and figure out how we're going to get more money. And I think, just like the board says, like Mr. Michael Vargas says, Angel, yourself, you being the leader, I think, what we need to do is just showboat exactly what we've done with the investments of our, with the investments that they've allowed us with this grant. And, and how disappointed it is not to get a grant to it fails our kids.
Yeah,
honestly.
and the grant is more, the evaluation process is more an opinion based on the reviewer. It's not based on actual, it's whether you have the information or not. Within one question we answer, there's 5 different categories. There can be 5 different answers, and you can see the flow of the inconsistency of the response of the reviewers. They clearly don't understand it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's difficult, but, right in here, I have every single activity at every single center right here. So to say that we don't, it's here.
Yeah. Mr. Garcia, and I think us as an administration, as a board administration and yourself, I think we need to get the ball rolling like now, because a whole year is going to come by. You can appeal. Nobody knows what the appealing process is, but it's probably going to take more than a year. So at the end of the day, we have staff that we appreciate. We have kids we need to service, and we need to service our community as well. So we need to figure out,
What's gonna happen?
what's going to happen moving forward, and to see if we can somehow get a grant next year, or if there's one, or
Oh,
however that
we
works.
will
So,
always continue to
Yeah.
reach out for the additional, the 21st. As long as it's available, we are,
Okay.
at least I want to
Okay.
apply with the direction of Dr. Carmen, of course.
Okay.
Yes. Okay,
So-
Jack. So bottom line is, bottom line, where do we go from here?
Well, I know that Dr. Carmen and the administration, we met and we drew some ideas. I think the first priority, I will say that Dr. Carmen, and, you know, I'm speaking for him, right? What I like was that he really took a good look at helping the employees of the program. And that was our first focus. And that has been his focus from the very beginning, and I really appreciate what he did. Believe me, I had some weight come off my shoulders. I didn't sleep very well,
Okay.
leading to that meeting. So, at this point, we talked about options for the instructional part of the program. I presented more or less, we were in the same page as far as a proposal B, as far as, let's say that we didn't have any funding, can we have some type of program? What would be the design of the program? And my history, because I've been through this is like the third time that we've had a situation like this through the history of the after-school program. We have done options like doubling up. That means that a coordinator with part-time assistants can oversee 2 sites, as an example.
Okay.
Those were some of the things that we discussed at the meeting.
Thank you very much, but I'm talking about funding. Where do we go from here? Where are the funds gonna come from to help you, help the district? Where? Dr. Carmen?
So we worked with Mr. Garcia the other day on moving some funds around, and I think we got down from, we lost, what, a $1.6 million grant cycle 8? Is that what it was last year, 1 point?
Yes, sir. Yes, it was there was fully funded. There was no reductions per
It
year
was
on that one.
1 point what?
It was about 1.6 million.
And
Okay.
so we went from losing a $1.6 million grant, and really the last piece of the puzzle for us is we're down to $350,000. So considering we started off there, I mean, we're good at 1.25 million of it. And so that's kind of where we left the discussion. I mean, there are options the board can take action.
What's our fund balance right now? Ms. Rendon?
We closed last year at 29 million.
So we can easily fund them as well, without having to raise property taxes. We can easily fund them. Okay, that's one option. Another option will be? Or the appeal, but we're working on the appeal. He's gonna work on it, but until we get it, we don't know if we're gonna get it or not. So he's gonna be working on the appeal. But I want us to go home and figure out, and go home tonight and say, okay, we got his after-school program funded for another year or for 2 years. Okay, that's what I wanna know. Are we gonna be able to fund his program? The district's program, are we going to? I don't wanna hear that, well, we're gonna raise taxes 1 cent, we're gonna raise the taxes 1.5 for the chess program. The chess program, we cannot leave out because they put us on the map. They put us on the map, the chess program. We cannot leave the chess program out. We cannot leave these instructional things out. We cannot leave the dancing, the bands, flamenco, all this. We cannot leave them out because they put us where we are today. The kids. So I want to know, will we be able to fund them consistently? Not, well, we can raise 169,000 or 269,000, and if we raise another cent, we can do this. No, I want to know how.
Yeah, I think, and that brings up a really good point, Ms. Garcia.
Thank
I
you.
I think we're confident that we'll be able to find some additional monies, not looking at Ms. Rendon. But I think this brings a larger conversation, which is, I think, exactly what Ms. Garcia is talking about, is a sustainability plan.
Yes.
In order
you,
for us not to approach this again And I don't like patchworking in terms, yeah,
Exactly, thank
we need
you.
a sys-
Not 3 months from now. Okay, well,
a
we ran out of
full
money, so what are we
sustainability
gonna
plan.
do now? Okay, so we ran out of money, so, no, I want it sustained. Just like you say, Michael, I want it sustained. I don't wanna say, okay, well, we're okay for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Well, what's gonna happen when we get to the end of the month? We're gonna come back again and say, okay, well, Jack, we're gonna give you another $350,000 for another 4 or 5 months? No, I wanna know, will we be able to sustain them? With $29.175 million in our fund balance and him needing 1.6, hello?
Right, so again, he's not needing 1.6 at this point. We've easily taken care of everything but 350. One of the challenges, Ms. Garcia, is just the timing. We've approved the budget for next year, so it's going to involve an amended budget.
That's fine, we can amend
Yes.
the budget, anytime
Yes,
we can
ma'am.
amend the budget.
Right. Going forward, if we make the assumption that there will be no additional grant money, then we build that into our budget with whatever money we can afford for the program. Mr. Garcia has expressed that if there's no grant money, he believes that he could have a strong after-school program with between $800,000 and $1 million, I believe.
Yes, and if, you know, there is no cycle 9.
Okay.
Which cycle 9 ends at the end of this school year. If our concentration are the elementary and the high school, we can do it between those figures right there.
800 a million? Okay,
Because there are some limitations in the grant, for example,
exactly.
that we discussed the other day regarding personnel, for example. I believe a strong site coordinator can oversee more than one campus, personally. I believe they have the capability. But under the grant, they're not allowed to do so. So it's a more costly model. So going forward, again, we assume no more money. This is last year out of cycle 9. We didn't get cycle 10. We build it into our budget, and whether we leverage some from federal funds, whether we use some of our state comp ed money, we build it into our budget for 1920 going forward. I'm not saying we can't find $350,000, Ms. Garcia. I'm just saying it.
We're gonna find it.
Yeah.
And-
We're gonna look and
and
we're
my-
gonna find it.
But
my-
we're not at fault. I mean, this is something that came unexpectedly.
Exactly,
And you're making
exactly.
it sound like it's the district's fault,
No, it's not the
obligation.
district's fault.
So we're
I'm just
gonna
saying that we
find
need to fund
something.
this program. It's been a
Yeah.
program that's been around for almost 20 years. That
Yes.
program has been very successful in all elementaries. Jack, what programs does Riverside offer? Tell me now.
Don't scold Eddie. You're
Pull it out. Tell me now.
You're
What programs
mad.
does Riverside offer?
Ms. Garcia, I know you're passionate about this, okay?
I'm very
No,
passionate.
I understand, but
She's
but
your
let me clarify.
sister, that's why.
Let me clarify something. It's
He's
the
my
San
nephew.
Benito,
Your nephew, your
it's the
tia,
San
okay.
Benito CISD after-school
Exactly,
program, okay?
exactly.
Not the Jack Garcia, for the record.
And I
So,
th- So are you, I think we can get a list of programs.
Yes.
I think after the meeting.
Sure.
One important point I want to note, though, is why I personally would not like to dip into the fund balance, because that means we're deficit budgeting, or we're going into deficit budgeting, and that's what I don't want. And I think one of the most important responsibilities of a board is to make sure our fund balance is as healthy as
Exactly,
possible,
yes.
and we're dipping into it into really rainy day when we really get into trouble. And so I feel like if we're nickel and diming the fund balance, that would not be a good practice for us as a board. So to avoid dipping in the fund balance, I think is the most important thing for us. And if we can find other ways to find the revenue would be important.
Mr. Vargas, President, Dr. Carmen, so now we're giving Mr. Garcia the opportunity to go ahead and appeal. That's what he's kind of requesting.
Yes.
Okay, so he knows that it's all right with us, okay? Okay, thank you.
okay.
I'd like to add a couple of things, and going back to the $65 million that the state or federal government is providing for this type of programming, it's interesting how we look at grant sites and grants even from the private sector into the non-private sector. One of the things that's a very well lesson learned here is that the federal government provides funding so people can have an opportunity to experience best practices that work in other regions. And the after-school program is that. It provides opportunities for students that may not have those opportunities as middle-class or upper-class children have, such as going to piano recitals, dance recitals, gymnastics, or folklorical and whatnot. So in essence, looking at the value of this programming as a district, we need to consider that. And definitely, looking forward, and if there's no funding, we should consider this as possibly another programming such as athletics, band, other extracurricular activities that actually benefit our community and our students, because it has benefited our community for over 20 years, and approximately how many millions?
How many millions have?
How many millions of dollars have we received?
About 47 million.
47 million. So that in itself is a testament that our federal government is also doing the right thing and providing us an opportunity to learn from what's out there and its in best practices. So in essence, yes, it is a challenge for us, but at the same time, it's a product and it's a program that actually works for our kids. And the last thing I would hate to see is for programming such as this to disappear, especially at the elementary and middle school levels. At the high schools, you know, there's other avenues, there's other ways that we can actually fund this type of models, but I think that it's essential for our kids at the elementary and middle schools. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Well, how many middle schools have after-school program?
Right now, Ms. Silva, all the middle schools are, but they're currently under Cycle 9 right now. What is affected going into this school year is 9 schools, 8 elementaries, and one being the high school. The impact of the high school, Mr. Mendez, and I know as far as, I just want to say that it helps as far as the, requirements for the high school. My mind went blank right now, I apologize. TSI, testing, credit recovery, they've been doing a lot of that at the high school, Ms. Silva. When it comes to the junior highs, I'm going to be really honest, 70% of the attendance that is in the after-school program at the middle school level are 6th graders. And obviously because they're not in a UIL, cheerleading, football. So it's really, really important at the 6th grade level. The attendance drops off after that.
Of course, because there's football and cheerleading and
Yeah.
all this one. Then the kids have attitudes, so that changes their way of thinking about.
But the strongest, in my opinion, the areas that has helped so much within the district has been the rural area campuses of the after-school program, because those children do not have the resources that, nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. Thank you.
I do want to add to that, in our meeting the other day, we did not come up with eliminating services from any campus. We intend to include services at every single campus, with the exception of our disciplinary campuses, our alternative DAEP, and the one that's done through the courts, the Amador. But as far as all the campuses that serve our traditional students, our plan is to continue those services for every one of those kids. So it's in there.
Any other questions?
I'll just add, I don't know how the conversation is going to go as far as going forward with the appeals, but if you need, I'm assuming, a letter from the board as a whole or just something, please let us know as soon as possible, reaching out to, like you said.
Yes, I think it would carry more weight, and, most definitely they would entertain.
And I know we have good relationships with both Lucio offices, their chiefs of staff. You obviously know Mr. Sanchez with Senator Lucio, and then there's Mr. Obel from Mr. Lucio III. So obviously, if we need to submit letters to them of support, asking them for letters of support from them.
Yes, and I graciously want to say I thank you all's support. I thank Dr. Carmen, and during this process as well, and Mr. Madrigal. So
You're welcome.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's cold in here, right?
I want to know what priority school the YMCA of Greater Houston has. What priority schools did they get? I know, but I want to know. I know it's on. Why? I want you to answer me, what priority school do they have?
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 10, review and discussion to the amended 2018-2019 pay scale descriptions. Dr. Phillips? Descriptions, sir?
Yes, sir. So, the board approved our pay scale, last month, or I think it was last month. It's been a long few days here. And within that, we've had some personnel changes, just in terms of their roles and responsibilities. So we just asked that the board, take into consideration changing the name of our, drill sergeants at the PRC from being called drill sergeants on our pay scale, to behavioral support aides. Their pay grade stays the same, their pay stays the same, everything stays the same outside of the title.
Okay, good. Any questions?
Good
right.
idea.
Agenda item? Let's move on to agenda item number 11, committee concerns.
I have a concern, but I don't know if I can do it on this one or not. This is financial. But I don't know where else to deal it with. Dr. Phillips, when you are moving personnel around, are you letting these people know that you're moving them around in plenty of time or not? Hence, the Gateway program had or has 2 secretaries at this point. One, you moved her there because she was supposed to be moved. The other one because, oh, I haven't sent her an email yet.
Excuse me, Mr. Garcia, but that's a personal matter. You'll refer to administration, please, at a further date.
Okay, that's why I asked. I didn't know
Yeah.
whether I could use
Yes,
it
ma'am.
here or not. Okay.
Thank you. Let's move on to adjournment. Adjournment at 8:31. Thank you.